Hello there and welcome. My name is Jimmy Wikman, and in today's video we're going to talk about calculated fields, or formula fields as they are referred to in your Jira instance. So calculated fields have been something that people have asked for decades, and Atlassian announced that they are now available for everyone on July 28th, I think, so a few days ago. And I thought that I would show you a little bit of what it looks like and give you some thoughts on what it is. In the announcement, they had a video, and I will basically replicate that one and add my own touch to it. So if you don't want to see how that one is done, you can skip ahead a little bit, because I will show you a little bit of how you can use an automation to make it even better. So what are calculated fields then? Well, basically you can take two values or multiple values, and you can have a mathematic calculation based on different inputs. So as an example, what we're going to show today is if you have budgets, for example, or finance, then you can have what is the original budget that you wanted to have and how much have we actually spent, and then you can have a calculated field that will actually show you the difference between those two values. So we're going to do it a little bit more fancy than that, but that's basically what you can do. Some other areas where you can use it is also as kind of a simulation of SLAs. If you are in Jira, for example, you don't have SLAs, but you can now use some time-based algorithms there, for example. So I'm going to show you what values that is. And I haven't tried those out yet, but those are next on my to-do list. But enough chit-chat, let's jump in and show you for real what the fields are, how they work, and how you can use them. So here we are now in my Jira. And so let me just go back to the beginning so you can see we start from scratch here, so at the very beginning here. So I will first now just move over to actually add this so you can see my cursor. There we go. Now you can see my cursor, even if it's a little bit small today. If you go up here and we go to work items, so we can come over to the fields. And now if you want to create a new field, then I will actually automatically move myself to the other side, because we will have the information on this side here. So when you click on create a new field and you select field, you will find now a new one at the very bottom here called formula. So this is the new field that we are talking about here today. So if you click on the formula field, you will have a name and description, and you first need to select where you actually place it. So let's put this one in Jira demo. And now you can select what kind of output you want to have, and you can have numbers, so a value, a percentage, a currency, for example. You can have different text, dates, or even duration values. So we are going to look at numbers here today. So you will automatically get this little box here. You can have you will have amount multiplied by price here as an example. And in the other tab here, you can now format the output. So you can select now number, percentage, or currency. So let me go back to the formula here. So how do you use fields here now? Let's see, I have some fields that I've created, number fields in this case, and I want to refer them. Do I have to do some magic? Do I need to know their custom field ID and stuff like that? And they have actually made this quite good, so you don't really need to know that one anymore. So you can just start with adding, just make sure that I get it right. Oh, that's the wrong one. This is the one I want. So if you add the little, I don't know what we call that one, weird bracket kind of thing, then you will actually get all the fields that are supported. So not all fields that you have will be supported. So if you want to use, for example, time estimations, log time, and those kind of values, you will find that they are not here on the list. Story points are there because they are just single numbers, while the time logging, for example, is very specific, and that one needs a bit of transformation. But you can just select any field you want here, just by clicking this. So if I have, for example, do we have budget here? Let me just make sure that budget, I did not have that one because I called it approved budget, for example. And then I can have subtract that a value from that one, and that would be the actual spend in this case. There we go. Now, if I save this one, this field will now automatically fetch data from the approved budget field, and it will subtract the actual spend field. So this is very simple to do. You just need to be able to create those two numbered fields first. And I've already done this. So before I take you further in, let me just show you the quite a lot of possibilities that you can use for this one. So once you are here, you will find a generate formula here, and you have a little question mark here. So if you click on that one and you look at syntax help, first and foremost, you get a little bit of help here. But if you click on syntax help, it will open up this page here. And I prefer to click on this at the top here. I will open this in a new page. And I think for this part, I will actually move myself over to the right side again. Sorry for the jumping around. So here in this document here now, you will have all the functions that you have for this formula. And there's a lot of them here. So there's a lot of things that you can actually do here. You will have concatenate, you will have replace, trim, all the things that you would expect from a functional field like this, a reference field or a calculated field. So the things that I was referring to is the one that we have down here. So this is after, for example, is before. Theoretically, you can have then a due date and compare that to today date. And if it is after, then you can trigger some automation, or you can add this value to a field, and that in turn can trigger an automation. So that could be an interesting use case for this alone. But you will have a bunch of things here, and you have the mathematical operators at the bottom here. So there's a ton of things that you can do with this. Now, how does this look then when we're using it? So for this one, I will go back to my demo space, and I will take this one. I'll open that one in a new browser window. So I've now created the approved budget and actual spend. These are two fields that I've created. These are just number fields, and I've added the currency. And so they are formatted as currency. In this case, it's Swedish crown, which is my currency. And I've also added a rate field here, which is the same. All three of these are created the same way. So they are a number field, and the currency has been selected as the output. So if I add some values now here I need to have both for the approved budget and actual spend here. So if I just put in, let's see, 10,000 for this one, and I have spent 10,000. Then I will have a budget variance here. Now this is the calculated field that should show up, and it will be 0 because if I click on it, it will actually show me the formula. So the approved budget, 10,000, minus the actual spend, 10,000, will be 0. So if I change the actual spend here to 5,000, it will be updated automatically with 5,000 here. So this is what Atlassian showed in the example. And yes, if you want to manually add things, then go ahead. This one will work just fine. And just to show you then, I can also show you this. We can go to the board and we can go to the list. And we can show you that now we added the columns here. Approved budget, actual spend, and budget variance. And we can now see that I can also add format rules for this one. So if I just want to have, if budget variance is less than minus 1,000, have a slightly darker red. If it is less than 0, then a softer red here. So if I update this one to 2000, for example, 2001, perhaps I need to have, then you will see we'll have the darker red here. So it's a nice way to show on the list if we are spending more time or spending more of a budget and we had budget 4. And we can actually show this one with colors here. But let's go back to this one here and show you now then what we can do in addition to this. So let me remove this one. I don't need to, but I will do that just so we can see. So now we have approved budget, actual spend, rate will be 0. So if I want to have this automatically updating the actual spend as I log time here, then I can set a rate here. So let me just set a rate of 1,000. I'm expensive. So now I have a rate. Nothing happens here because it will still be none, and because I haven't logged any hour, it will actually say that the budget variance is actually 10,000 because it is. I still have 10,000 left because that's my approved budget and I haven't spent anything. And the reason why this updated is because I have an automation. So if you update rate, then it will recalculate the actual spend. And when that one is happening, then the approved budget actual spend will trigger the budget variance. Now then, let's log some time here. Then I can do that from the side here. Let's say that I log 10 hours. Maybe I need to say that's hours as well. So now I will have it down here in the work log, and that I've added that one. And now then I will have 1,000 and multiply then by the number of hours. So I spent 10 hours. So my actual spent is now 10,000. And for some reason, the budget variance hasn't updated here. Oh, it has. It is 0. And so if I change my rate here now to 1,200, you see, there we go. It takes a little while when the automations are running. Now my actual spend is 12,000 and I have budget variance of minus 2,000. Now if I add more work log for this one, I'll continue to do on this side, let's say 23 hours more. And you see the values will be updated here as well. So how are we doing that? What kind of magic are we referring to here? Well, one thing is that you cannot use the log time, the time tracking here, because they are in a different format. So I'm assuming they will be supported later on, because a lot of things you want to do is with things like this. So instead, what I've done then is that I have created an automation or a number of automations for it. So let me see, where do we have it? We have a lot of demos here. So the first one is update actual spend. So when someone logs time, this is just for demo purposes. I have when work logged is triggered, when we actually have done that one. And I do this for all work log operations. So even if I delete or edit or if I add something, it will be triggered. And what I do is I will recalculate the values. And for this one, I need to move myself out of the way again. There we go. And this is the actual magic here. So this now is issue time tracking, time spent seconds, because the time values in the time tracking is actually measured in seconds. And then I use the divide function here and divide it by 3,600 to actually get it into the proper values, so I can get in hours. And then I multiply this one with the value that I get from the custom field rate. So this is the only thing I need to actually add here, but this is what happens when I actually log time, edit time. But what happens if I change the rate here? So then I need to have another automation for that. So this one is identical. So it's the same type of automation that I'm using, but in this case, I go for the field value instead. And I'll check the rate and any change to that one, edit, remove, or create. And then I will do the exact same query here for that one. And this is very simple. This is just for demonstration purposes. As you can understand, you can use this in very advanced ways. But this is a very simple demonstration of what you can actually do with this one. So for this one, I now have the ability to actually measure how we are doing towards a budget goal. And these values, I can actually use the budget variance in different ways to aggregate this one in plans or stuff like that, to actually see how are we doing with all this value. So the only thing you need to remember is this is read only, so you can't really do anything with it. You can only read from it. But this is super easy to set up. It's very fast. And as long as you understand how the different calculations are done, because they can be a little bit complex. So once you get into them, and when you want to nest, for example, having multiple mathematical queries in one query, so you want to summarize something that is the total sum of two values minus a third, for example, then you have all these parentheses and stuff like that. But you always have, let me go back to the fields here. So the one thing that you probably noticed when I created one, maybe not that one, is that you have Rovo here. So you can always ask Rovo for help. How can I calculate this one? And Rovo will help you to actually formulate it. And if I put something in here that is wrong, then it will also provide you with guidance and saying that, let me try to help you. So Rovo is very good in helping with this one, and I advise you to take advantage of that one if you are new to how to create calculated formulas in code, the way we do it here. So with that, what do I think about calculated fields? Well, now we only showed you, or I only showed you in Jira here. So when we are looking into Jira Port Discovery, for example, or if we want to have weighted shorted job first, for example, where you have things like the values multiplied by a bunch of things. This is great because you can actually get things sorted, for example, automatically in your list, which is a great way to prioritize. So you can actually have the table actually sorted based on this calculated field. So this opens up for a whole new world of possibilities, and you can actually do a ton of things with this. So I think this one is less than a week old now, and there will be many videos probably coming out with suggestions on how you can use this field. And I encourage you to look into it if you have different things that you would like to do that you today are trying to use with automations, because these ones are real time. So as soon as you change something, the calculated fields will actually update. And they seem to be a lot faster than automations, as you probably noticed. So for me, this is a huge step forward for custom fields, and it will also probably explode the number of custom fields people will use. Because as you can see, I now need to have multiple fields feeding data into the custom field or the formula field here to actually get the values out that I want. So it's going to be exciting to see how this one will actually progress moving forward. But for me, 2 thumbs up. I love this. I think there's a ton of use cases for it. And with that, I think the only thing that remains for me to say is that I hope that you have a great day and also a week.